Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of I Bleeping Love Packaging, the podcast about people who bleeping love packaging. And for those who just don't know it yet, today I'm here with Ronnie Kwesi Coleman from Puntt AI. Really excited. He's the CEO and founder of Puntt. Has a great history of starting up meaningful gigs, being on the board there, as well as being the CEO before moving over to Puntt AI. So super excited to have Ronnie on. Ronnie, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit more about Puntt and we can kind of dive into it?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the intro, AJ. I've been building technology since I was a kid. I mean, this is my third tech company. First company was in hospitality. It was around the mobile wave. Built it with some folks, and we ended up selling that in 2017 for 42 million, and then wanted to make an impact, not just money, and built Meaningful Gigs, which is a marketplace for global talent. We started with Africa, creating jobs for folks, and created over 100,000 jobs. Harvard Business School did a case study on us on how you can make a profit and make impact. So it was really meaningful, no pun intended. But as I was building that company, so a lot of our customers were large regulated tech companies and CPG companies, especially their marketing teams. And so they would hire creatives from our marketplace, designers, but they would also hire people to do quality work, compliance work. And I remember there was one guy who was on our platform. We matched him with a large enterprise marketing team, and he really needed a job. And he was doing reviews manually where he would check packaging, making sure the labels were in the right place. And after about a month, he came to me and said, I quit. I can't do this.
Oh, no.
And I was curious because I asked, because I know a few people had quit just doing this review work. And I asked, why? And he was like, well, it's so tedious. I just have to look at these packages every day, line by line, just making sure things are aligned. And it's like, look, I needed a job, but I didn't need a job that bad. And and so right around that stuck with me, and right around the AI revolution where, it was 22 and GPT was taking off, I started thinking about what problems have I heard from our customers that they just are paying a ton of money. There's a lot of manual work that people don't like and that we could automate with AI. And that's where the idea of building Puntt AI to review manual processes and automate that review process for packaging, for marketing, for claims came about.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really powerful idea and tool that you guys have built. As somebody who works in packaging and has had to review a lot of die lines and legal text and graphic placement, that's not the fun part of the job, right? Like the fun part of the job is the design and getting your hands dirty and building things, right? So it's nice to see that you guys have kind of helped free up some of that time for people, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's our mission. So we started this not to just do, build a tool that does manual reviews or automates reviews. It's to free people to do more meaningful work, right? So at the core, our company's mission is find the processes, the manual workflows that people hate doing and automate that with AI. Because, I mean, there's all these companies talking about replacing humans with AI, and I think that's bullshit. I think AI is a tool to make us more advanced, to make us smarter, faster, more creative. And it's going to make designers, creatives, marketers better, more strategic. It's not going to replace them if they pick the right tools.
Yeah, it's the idea of I want AI to do my laundry and cook for me and not do my fun creative work, right? You want to free up time to do what you're good at, right?
Yeah. You want it to do your laundry and cook. You don't want it to raise your kids and take your wife to dinner.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that something that's really cool that you guys are doing with Puntt is it seems like it's not just something where you have to basically change everybody's process, right? It seems like you guys are trying to integrate into existing processes. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works and how you guys, I'm assuming you guys are doing API calls and things like that in order to integrate with these other review platforms.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I built technology for a long time. And especially when you're building technology for the enterprise, the hardest thing for an enterprise team, a large team, is not how do I use new technology? Like anybody can figure it out. Everybody can use it. Everybody can go to the training. The hardest part is how do I get a team that's been used to using one set of processes or working through a specific workflow to adopt a new process, a new workflow, a new style of working? I have a million things on my plate. So if you come give me one more tool and you're telling me it's AI and it's going to make me faster, it's like, great, sure, that's fine. I believe you, but I've got 100 things to do and I don't have time to change my process. And so for us, again, we're thinking about problem solving. And there's this thing in psychology where it's like, oh, well, if you really want to go to the gym, it's not about, well, go pay for a gym membership, right? Like anybody can do that. But what happens is people stop going. So that what they say is wear your gym clothes to work. I mean, and then at night, wear them at night if you want to go in the morning, right? So when you wake up, you see you're in your gym clothes and you're like, oh, I should do this. And so the analogy applies to kind of AI and tech. We are basically connecting our tool into their process. So if you're using Figma, Puntt is right there. If you're using Asana or Rike or any project Workfront, it's right there helping you alongside. And that way it's always there. It's your gym clothes that are on that remind you that the AI is helping you. It's not something that should distract you. And then the other thing, the other reason that we've done it this way is AI tools are the first time in history where AI works like a human. And if you think about hiring a person, right, you don't hire them and then they come in with all their tools and tell you to figure them out. You hire them and you tell them, this is my stack. This is what we use in our company. You have to learn our processes, our tools. And that's how our AI agents work. They come into your environment, they learn how you work, your rules, your regulations, your workflows, and they integrate themselves into that. And the integrations are really cool because they're simple now. It's not as complicated. IT teams are not sweating over them. There's MCP, there's simpler APIs, and we use all of them to make the connection seamless.
That's awesome. When you guys are going to a company and saying, hey, we want to help integrate with you guys and speed up your process, do you have to have somebody on that team start to train up your AI, or how does that work from like learning its workflow? Like, does that come from you guys talking with them about what their workflow is and then integrating it in with your AI, or is it someone on their team kind of prompting and helping out that way?
This is why I love to use the human analogy, right? So when you hire somebody, what do, right? You hire a human, they come in, they have their set of knowledge and expertise. So our AI is already very domain specific. Like we're focused on regulated industries, CPG industries. It's not generic, AI. It's very like specifically trained. So imagine you're hiring an expert, right? That comes in, but the expert has to come ask questions and learn from your internal experts to get even smarter. And so what happens? What is that? It means our AI can ask individuals questions. So we have that tool that it can just ask questions and learn from the people in the organization. When we connect to, say, Figma or their project management tool, it pulls context of what has happened in the past, comments that people have left, things that people have said, and then uses that context. And then, of course, brand books, regulations, like all of those basically simple things. But those are the ways. And then there's one other thing that's highly critical, which is we have forward deploy engineers that we assign to our new customers. So this is a dedicated resource. So think about it like a customer service product / engineer person that will sit with your team, spends their time learning your workflows and designing our product specifically around your workflows. So those the combination.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you're saying that asks you questions, right? So this is because
Yeah.
I've used AI tools and I've used, like, for work we use Gemini, I've used GPT, right? I've kind of used those tools for, doing some prompting and question asking and things. When it's asking questions, is it asking questions through their workflow? Like, is it adding comments and saying, what do you think about this? Or what does that UI look like? I'm just curious.
So let me ask you a question around that. So
Yeah.
when you're prompting or you're talking with Gemini or GPT, what's the most frustrating or challenging part for you as a user?
Well, I think for the biggest thing for me is when you're starting up a new chat, you feel like you have to start over again is one thing for me. And then the other thing
Memories.
is when you go to reply to something and it's reading that whole script again, sometimes it starts to bog down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So context window and memory,
Yeah.
right? Those are two super important things. And that's where like our for deploy engineers, that's why we've created things that are custom domain specific. The problem with like a large language model is it has so much data, so much context that it's looking through that, yeah, it forgets, right? Somebody that has too many things to do, that your thing is important, but they're like, I got other that I'm thinking about. Whereas ours is that, but we've kind of customized it. So that means context windows, you can have longer conversations and it will still remember. The memories make more sense because they're within the context of your organization, not the context of the whole world's knowledge. Right. And so those two problems are solved. And then you say, how does it work? Yeah, it works directly in. So a comment. So if you're using, so what project management tool do you use typically?
What I'm most familiar with is probably Web Center from Esco.
Okay. So you're using Web Center from Esco. There's drop downs, there's comments that people put in. And so maybe a regulation or regulator will put in a comment, right? And then you respond to the comment. So Puntt would work again, just like a new employee. You can put in a comment and say, at Puntt, this is what I'm thinking. It will run a review. It'll come back with a link. And then you can ask it a question, or it can get more context. Is this for this project? Is it for this? How do I do this well? And so again, it's all in context within the tools that you're using, or you could use our own interface, which is closer to the standard chat LLM interface that everybody's used to.
Very cool. It almost sounds like you're basically building a user into the process, but you're linking it into Puntt basically, right? So it's like, is it able to reply right in the comments inside of Web Center per se?
Yeah. Yep.
That's so cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, how would you talk to a new person that comes in, right? You're not going to, again, the person's not going to tell you, hey, I brought this tool from home. You should only use this tool, right? You're going to reply to them in the tools you already use because you don't have to think about that. You just have to remember their username. Who's the new guy we hired? Oh, the new guy is Puntt. Let me ask him, right? Within my tool, not where's my login? How do I remember to get there? What's the URL? Like all of that's too much cognitive burden for a person that's super busy with their own stuff. Yeah, so we make it super easy, super simple. But at the end of the day, what's happening behind the scenes is Puntt is the system of record for all of these decisions. So every question you ask anybody in your organization, every piece of context that's put into Esco Web Center, all of that's still going into the memory and the logic layer of our AI native system, so that wherever the data source is, somebody can go into Puntt and ask a question and it'll pull data from all these different sources, bringing all of that as a source of truth for everybody at the end of the day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is difficult when you bring in something new is like figuring out where's that source of truth going to live. And it's nice to hear that it can kind of stitch those things together, which is something that when you're bringing in a new system can always be something that's like a hiccup for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I built multiple pieces of software and it was just not possible before to have like Salesforce live in different places. Like Salesforce is just itself, and that's how the software works. But a human you would hire would come work. And that's why like AI is amazing, because the tools of the future, the big companies you're going to see over the next 5-10 years are not a CRM plus this like AI chatbot or an ERP plus an AI chatbot. Like those products still exist and they're good. You're going to see all the services, all the things that humans had to do and were tedious that we thought we had to do forever. Those are the things that the companies that figure out how to automate those things are the ones creating the new future, right? Like us with the manual reviews. Like nobody imagined that would be automated, but now it's possible to do that.
Do you feel like when you're talking to companies about Puntt, do you have like the amount of time that it saves for companies, like a rough idea percentage wise, or I'm sure you have that conversation with companies where it turns from time to dollars and all that other good stuff. But have you seen like an average of how much time saved across review process?
Yeah, we track primarily around the individuals, right? Because a company is a nebulous thing, and there are multiple teams with multiple things. Like we think, AJ, how much time did we save you? And that, like, if we're saving you X amount of time as a designer, so the people it touches are like marketers and brand, creative and design, and then regulatory and compliance, right? Those are the main people that do a lot of review typically in some way, or marketers are affected by the speed of a review, right? They're responsible for the whole workflow, but they don't always control the steps in regulatory or the steps in design. So on average, I think if we're just using kind of our data average, it's about 6 hours a week
Wow.
for individuals. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of time, and think about that across your entire organization, compounding. And then the other thing, I mean, there's time, which again is our higher order metric, because we're like, if we can save individuals time, they can spend more time thinking about more important things for their organization. They'll be happier. They can be more creative. The other thing is rework. So one of the biggest time sucks and hidden pain points that like leaders always understand, but nobody has really like figured out how to solve this is how much time people sending something down the pipe and then it coming back. Then it's sent. And I was talking to this guy, like huge multinational company that does a lot of packaging, and their average rework was 12 versions.
Oh my
And
gosh.
70% asked as the door putting out how to rework. And so think about, yeah, how much time that is, how much like agency costs, because they're paying agencies to do all this extra work.
Hmm.
And so what happens is when Punt's at the beginning, it knows what creates rework. And it's telling you that if you don't put this in, it's going to come back to you. If you don't put this disclaimer in, if you're the typo here is going to make it come back, or this logo should be here. We've changed X in the company. So it's
Things
giving
like
you
font
all of that.
size, right? Font size, UPC's locations, things like anything that's like would be across multiple packages. Like it's probably easy for it to pull that information, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And your claims, trademarks, like any tedious detail that, again, if you think about why did something get sent back to me, right? It's usually something you don't know that's not top of mind, because you get the design part, but there are parts of the process that you're like, look, I sent this. I thought I was doing the right thing. And they're like, no, it's not. It's a black box. And so Punt gives you that knowledge up front, so you don't have to send something off into the ether, like figuring out like, will this get sent back to me? The anxiety of that, it reduces that anxiety and helps the rework, which then again helps you get it right first time, and then also cuts the agency spend
Yeah.
for you.
And it sounds like it's a really great way to introduce new designers into a brand too, because if it has that check up front, those new designers are able to learn all those ins and outs of that regulation per company faster, which then they don't have to lean as hard on Punt, which is like, it's a blessing and a curse, I think, a little bit for you guys, but it's great and overall because, you get this early learning for these new designers and they can be faster with and without the tool.
Yeah. I wouldn't see it as a curse at all, because it's like we keep building new features on top of that knowledge. And so, yeah, you're right. It can be a training tool for new people. It's a source of truth. And for us, yeah, the more time we save, that means somebody, like we built a claims intelligence repository, right? So we did artwork review, did marketing review, and then people got so much time back. They're like, well, I want to spend more time researching, using all that data that Punt has gathered, researching how I can compete in different markets. And
Cool.
so then now they're spending their time using our tool for other things based off of that original data.
Yeah. I think that one thing that's really cool that I saw when I was looking through this, and there's an example on your website about this, I think, is checking different countries' regulations, because that can be a major headache.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out like, is what you say in the US the same thing that you say in Brazil, which is the same thing you say in Spain, which is the same thing you say in Great Britain. And they're all different. Like almost every time it's going to be a different logo or a different legal line or whatever. And it's nice to have somebody check you. But my other question, I guess, on top of that, is there any tools that you guys are putting out where you can start to help create new variants? So like if you make the US variant, let's say, Is there a way that Puntt can go in and say, hey, here's your US variant, but when you're making a Brazil variant, here are the things you need to change?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give you a specific story on that. So there's a large multinational consumer health company that we work with, and they have a brand team, and most of their brand folks are younger, like 20s, and their regulatory team are folks, grizzled veterans that have been around for a while. And these guys are being hired in Europe, and some of them are responsible for 5 markets, and they don't speak the language of those markets, and they definitely don't know the regulations. But their number one goal is create all this new content, so TikTok videos and meta ads and all these things in 6 markets. And they have this massive, massive claims spreadsheet that had 6,000 rows, and then started to use Puntt. And then now it's in this like friendly LLM, right? They don't have to search a spreadsheet. They just ask a question. And then they say, show me what this claim variant will be for these 6 markets. And it just writes it out for you, and in those languages. And you can speak one language, it's going to talk to you in that language and give you the variants. Yeah, all based off of what those grizzled regulatory folks would approve, right? It's not bypassing them, but it's getting it right for the brand folks. So when it does get to regulatory, they're like, these kids are great now. I don't have to reprimand them anymore. They're crushing it. So it just makes both sides happier.
That's awesome. Kind of like a little bit of a pivot on this, because I'm thinking from a large, CPG, or when I used to work at a different toy company, there's a lot of IP sensitivity things. We used to work with Marvel, Star Wars, things like that. Does Puntt push the information back up to you guys? Like, or does it stay local to the company when you guys are talking about maybe things that are a little more IP sensitive? How does that work?
IP's like sensitivity, security. I mean, we work with Fortune 500 companies and with regulatory risky stuff. We built everything around like very secure frameworks. All of the data and information lives just within that organization. So whatever is done for Fortune 500 company number 1 is never shared with Fortune 500 number 2. And there's no cross mingling of data. There's no cross training. And then again, we pass through, we're global. So we're in Europe, we're in Latin America and Asia and in the States. And so that means like there's different regulations that we adhere to in different areas and go through different stringent security checks. But yeah, security is highly critical and super important for us because we can't f around.
No, I get that for sure. Yeah, I assume that was the case. I just think that there's a lot of times people are worried when they see that there's an LLM or whatever, that where is that info coming from? And it sounds like, I mean, obviously you guys have built in the framework where it stays within the company, which is what people are going to want to hear. I know that there's just always some hesitancy, I feel like, to figure out where's that info coming from.
I think with any new technology, there's always going to be some hesitancy of folks. And, there's always people saying, oh, it's too risky. And you're going to have some organizations that, their leaders don't want to take slight risk on a technology that's 5 years old, right? But the reality is this is the fastest I've ever seen enterprises move. Like, we're working, like I said, with Fortune 500 regulated companies, and they've gone from just pilots to global deployments because they're seeing the change is not about technology, right? And it's never about technology, it's about consumer behavior. So the buyers of their products are changing the way that they buy. They're using LLMs to search. They're expecting different things from marketing channels. And so these companies need to adapt to the buyers. And the only way that they can adapt as fast as the buyers are changing is through adopting new technology to be faster, to be more efficient. And so we're making sure everything's secure. We're going through this, but at the end of the day, the leaders that are staying ahead are the ones that are taking small calculated risk, right? Asymmetric risk, but they're adopting new technologies and moving quickly because otherwise they know that if they miss the window, they'll most likely be left behind.
Yeah, I agree. There's like a lot of, I mean, if you just think of how quick the AI revolution, let's call it, is happening, it's very fast. It's extremely fast. And I think things are
Yeah.
changing rapidly. And if you're kind of not keeping up, you're going to get left behind 100%. With the rapid changes that are happening, what do you think packaging development is going to look like in 2030 as opposed to 2026? Like 4 years from now, let's say that you've got Puntt integrated with a company, they've been using it for 4 years. What's that change look like for that company?
2030 is 4 years away. That's interesting, right? It's not that far. I think like if we take a step back, we think about not just packaging, but what would an organization look like in the next 4 years? One is I think everybody within these large organizations need to be AI proficient. They need to be good, but not just generic LLMs, because I think we're in the early stages of these generic LLMs, right? And people are using them as one size fits all. But the value is accrued with the companies that have these domain specific, like I need packaging problems or compliance problems or regulatory problems solved. And I get really good at these tools, right? The same way that you're good at specific design tools, or it's not that you're every design tool you're proficient in, which I think people are giving these unfair bars to folks and saying you just need to be proficient in AI. That's too broad, and nobody can do that. So I think that there's going to be these domain expertise within certain products and certain fields that didn't exist before, and people are just going to be a lot more efficient and have superpowers. We're seeing that in engineering today. Like our engineers are doing 10x the work, they're smarter, they're happier, they're enjoying their work more, and that's what I feel will happen. The biggest shift that I think will happen in humanity is that the white collar worker, the person going to work, is going to love their job more. They're going to have the AI doing these tedious tasks, and they're going to say, what have I been doing? Right? It's I think that the analogy is kind of when COVID hit and people realized like, oh, I can work from home and still be productive, and I don't have to sit in a 4-hour commute. Right? That I think is the core difference. Like we did things for so long one way that we didn't understand there was another way. And so when you have these LLMs doing all of the crap work you don't like, you'll realize that there's a weight lifted off of your shoulders and you can do a lot more, and your life will have a lot more meaning.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've only used for my professional, gig. I don't code. I make boxes for a living, right? I can't touch a piece of code. And so the vibe code thing is kind of what's going on right now with a lot of these LLMs, right? And so using Gemini, that's what we're using at work, is, created a little thing that takes stuff from an Excel sheet and pushes it into a PowerPoint. I know that's very basic, like it's a Python code, it's very basic, right? But as somebody who doesn't want to do that all day, it made my life a heck of a lot better. And it sounds like that's kind of what, the tools that you guys are building is doing. It's the same idea where you're taking that crap work that's not designed. It's the things you need to do as a designer, but it's
Yes.
just getting it off your plate, which is always a massive help. It feels like having an assistant, basically.
Multiple assistants, right, for different domains or your own employees. And this is like people have asked us, like we've taken a very specific stand where people say, well, can your product design these things for us? And there's all these tools that do that. And we have taken a very specific stand where we don't create designs within our product. We review, we take away the tedious work. We feel very strongly that there's going to be people that use design tools, and that's great. But that is the work that a lot of designers love, a lot of creatives love to do. And AI can help folks, but that's not where we're going to invest our time. What we do know is like, if you start using AI to create designs, there's going to be a lot more stuff to review. And the bottleneck is going to move from creation to review. And that's where we come in. We're going to help you kind of push that stuff out, whether you use design or you use your mind alone. Either way, we're going to help, but we're not going to be the ones creating stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful that you guys are taking that stance, because there's a lot of pushback right now online for generative art and generative creation of things. And I think it gives AI a bad rap because it takes the human element out of art and beauty and all these kind of things. But that's not all what AI does. And I feel like a lot of the times that's what people think that AI is. And
Right.
it's nice to see a company taking that stance of like, we're not going to try to push artwork. Like, we're helping the artists make better art, basically. Like, you're
Yep.
helping them have more time, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're not against them using the tools if they want to use the tools, but we're not the ones who are going to create those tools because, yeah, there's gray areas in the creation process. There's copyright issues. There's creative freedoms that get sometimes get violated. But again, that's not our world. Our mission is free people to do more meaningful work. And until we hear a lot of artists going, we hate creating art. We want that taken off of our plates, which I don't think will ever happen, because in the thousands of years of human history, that's one of the things that's made us human, right? From caveman paintings to, the Renaissance, like we've created things and we love that. And AI can help us create more, which is true, but it can never replace human creativity and human judgment.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So I'm going to toss it over to you. And if you have any other plugs you want to make or shout outs, like this time's yours. So I appreciate you being on, and I appreciate you taking the time and chatting about Puntt. It's a really cool tool. I'm excited to learn more about it and keep just like seeing the development from you guys. But yeah, take it away. Anything that you want to plug and throw out there, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing I would say is, it's multiple tools in a ecosystem, right? It's more of a platform, and we keep building new things to help our customers. Yeah, I think one of the questions I get asked a lot is, well, we have all these AI tools or people talking about this, and it's like, well, why should I change my workflow now, right? It's because part of it is, it's all like, why should I change? What I'm okay. Like, I get the promise, but and I would say again, like the most important thing is, like, the consumer behavior is changing, and it's not so much about why you should use a tool, but why you should understand that, like, the more you understand AI, or you use AI, your organization uses AI, the more you're understanding your consumer and your buyer. Things like AEO, like GEO, like all young buyers now are using LLMs to find their like new shopping experiences, right? Like, instead of going, I want this brand, you go, here's what I'm thinking. Here's, my daughter's birthday, my son's age. Like, what do you recommend? And things like that. Like, we help review content to make sure that they're LLM ready, right? Those are things that would be super tedious and a lot of people don't understand, but you have to use these tools. And so it's not an either or. You have to go use the right tools to solve the problems that you have. And if review's a bottleneck, go out and solve that with AI. And if it doesn't solve your problem in 30 days or 60 days, cut the product. Move on. That's the thing. If people are selling you, snake oil, like, you should know within 30 days whether it's solving a problem, because the value should be exponent. It should happen pretty immediately. Before we couldn't do this, now we can. So go use them as a leader. Just go invest in the tool. Take some time. It will be great for your team. It might take 30 or 60 days to get the value, but once they do, they'll become a super team. So just keep using AI, and then if anybody wants to reach out, they can reach out to me directly. My email is Ronnie@Puntt.ai. You can shoot me a note. I'm also Ronnie Kwesi Coleman on LinkedIn. Add me, shoot me a message, and yeah, happy to chat with anybody about AI and what we're seeing in the industry anytime.
Awesome. I'll put your contact information, if that's cool with you, in the description of the episode.
Yeah.
And that way people can get a hold of you and talk to you more about the suite of tools that you guys have. Yeah. Ronnie, thank you so much, man, for coming on and chatting. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm really excited to see how you guys progress and hopefully maybe get a chance to use someday. So
Yeah, for sure.
awesome.
All right, AJ. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Hey, it's AJ after the episode. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for listening to I Bleeping Love Packaging. I really appreciate Ronnie coming on. It was just like a great conversation, and I just can't wait to see the amazing things that Puntt does. It's great to see a company taking a stance on creative AI and making sure that creatives can be as creative they possibly can be. If you guys want to be on I Bleeping Love Packaging, shoot me a message to ibleepinglovepackaging@gmail.com or find me on LinkedIn. It's AJ Pieko, Piejko-Brown. And I'd love to chat and talk about what you guys are working on in packaging and get you on the show. So shoot me a message. Today's code word, because you made it to the end of the episode, is going to be regulation. So if you put the word regulation in one of the chats, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll send you guys a sticker packet with I Bleeping Love Packaging sticker so you can show everybody that you Bleeping Love Packaging too. So talk to you guys later, and I'll see you in the next episode.